The history of 20th-century wrestling preserves the names of those who forever transformed the sport. Their careers were filled with remarkable victories and difficult defeats, with each challenge strengthening their character and bringing them closer to greatness. In this video, we share the amazing stories of three legendary wrestlers whose sporting careers serve as examples of determination, perseverance, and dedication. These mat masters have left an indelible mark on the world of wrestling and continue to inspire new generations of athletes and fans alike. Wilfried Dietrich, nicknamed the Schifferstadt Crane, is Germany's most decorated wrestler, an Olympic and world champion, and one of the greatest athletes in both freestyle and Greco-Roman wrestling since the end of the Second World War. He took part in 5 Olympic Games and 7 Olympic tournaments, collecting a total of 5 medals, 1 gold, 2 silvers, and 2 bronzes. This remains a record for the most Olympic medals won by a wrestler. But it wasn't the titles or medals that earned him global fame. It was a single legendary moment at the Munich Games in 1972 that would go down in history as the throw of the century. Dietrich was born into a poor family and found his way to wrestling almost by accident, and quite late, at the age of 18. Yet his natural ability quickly became evident, and by the age of 22, he had already captured the first of what would become 30 national titles in both freestyle and Greco-Roman wrestling. His first Olympic success came in 1956 in Melbourne, where he won a silver medal in Greco-Roman wrestling. The pinnacle of his career came in 1960, when he claimed the Olympic gold in freestyle wrestling at the Rome Games. He also earned additional Olympic medals: a silver in Greco-Roman wrestling at the same Rome Games in 1960, a bronze at the Tokyo Games in 1964, and another bronze in freestyle at the Mexico City Games in 1968. Dietrich's only world title came in 1961. He also collected 2 silver medals and 2 bronze medals at the World Championships between 1957 and 1969. But as mentioned at the start, despite all of these accolades, it was a single act that immortalized him in the sport. At the 1972 Munich Olympics, during a Greco-Roman bout against American wrestler Chris Taylor, who stood 196 centimeters tall and weighed nearly 200 kilograms, Dietrich became a legend. Taylor was supremely confident he had already beaten Dietrich in their freestyle match, and the odds in classical wrestling seemed even more in his favor, since weight is a much greater factor. Taylor dominated from the start, dragging, leaning, and shoving Dietrich across the mat, pushing him off balance and even off the mat itself. The crowd laughed as the massive American manhandled his opponent. Dietrich, seemingly inactive, continued to retreat, on the brink of disqualification for passivity. Then, without warning, the dynamics changed. Dietrich suddenly wrapped his arms around the American's massive frame, dropped beneath him in a deep crouch, and launched a stunning throw that would go down in history as the throw of the century.
Dietrich trifft auf den 4 Zentner schweren Amerikaner Chris Taylor. Dietrich macht seinem Spitznamen der Kran von Schifferstadt alle Ehre.
After the match, Chris Taylor reportedly told his coach, "I didn't believe there was a man alive who could lift me off the mat and throw me. I was wrong." Though Dietrich didn't win a medal at what would be the final Olympic Games of his life, his throw is still displayed on posters around the globe, remembered as one of wrestling's most iconic moments. In 1977, the Schifferstadt Crane retired from competition. In the late 1980s, he emigrated to South Africa, unable to find work in West Germany. Isolated by language and distance, he longed to return home. Sadly, in 1992, just before his return, Dietrich passed away from a heart attack. In 2008, Wilfried Dietrich was inducted into the German Sports Hall of Fame, and in 2014 into the International Wrestling Hall of Fame. Many experts refer to him as the talent of the century, as very few wrestlers have ever won Olympic medals in both wrestling styles, and none in such numbers. With one breathtaking move, Dietrich managed to lift and hurl a giant over himself, delivering what is perhaps the most legendary throw in the history of wrestling. The history of freestyle wrestling is filled with many great athletes, but among them stands one truly exceptional figure, the legendary Soviet wrestler Ivan Yarygin. This status is not merely honorary. Throughout his career, Yarygin achieved incredible success. He won multiple European and World Championships, claimed 2 Olympic gold medals, and set a historic record by pinning all of his opponents in the 3 most prestigious tournaments: the Olympic Games, World Championships, and European Championships. Ivan was even preparing to compete for a 3rd Olympic title, but shortly before the Games, he stepped aside to allow younger talent to emerge. Ivan Yarygin was born on November 7, 1948, in the Kemerovo region of the Russian Soviet Republic. He came from a large rural family and was the 6th of 10 children. From a young age, he helped his father in the blacksmith shop. A tall and naturally strong boy, Ivan initially had no thoughts of becoming a wrestler. As a teenager, he played as a goalkeeper on a soccer team and showed serious promise in the sport. After finishing school, Ivan moved to Abakan to train as a driver. While studying, he also played soccer for the local meatpacking plant's team, where he worked part-time. Yarygin's introduction to wrestling came by chance. The director of a local wrestling school, Vladimir Charkov, noticed the physically imposing goalkeeper and saw tremendous potential in him. Although it took considerable persuasion to draw Ivan away from soccer, he eventually agreed to give wrestling a try and quickly became engrossed in the sport. While most wrestlers take a decade to develop, Ivan covered that journey in just 3 years. By 1968, he had already won the USSR Junior Championships. In 1970, he made his debut at the Adult USSR Championships and, to the surprise of many, defeated 2-time European champion Vladimir Gulutkin to claim the national title. This victory established Yarygin as a frontrunner for the 1972 Munich Olympics. However, Gulutkin exacted revenge by defeating Ivan at the 1971 Spartakiad of the Peoples of the USSR. That loss could have ended his Olympic dreams, but Yarygin rebounded strongly, winning every major tournament, including the crucial qualifier in Tbilisi, to secure his spot on the Olympic team. At the 1972 Munich Games, Ivan performed with dazzling dominance. Wrestling in the under 100 kilogram division, he pinned all 7 of his opponents, winning each bout ahead of time. Altogether, he spent only 17 minutes and 8 seconds on the mat, far less than the 63 minutes allotted. This record remains unmatched. In 1973, Yarygin again triumphed at the USSR Championships and took gold at the World Championships. However, his form dipped in the following years. To rebuild, he retreated into the Siberian taiga, where he trained relentlessly, running 50 kilometers daily, doing 120 push-ups per set, and developing speed and technique. This grueling regime led to a resurgence. He won 2 consecutive European Championships and earned a spot at the 1976 Montreal Olympics. In Montreal, the competition was tougher, but Yarygin again proved his superiority, winning all matches and claiming his second Olympic gold medal. Although the victories came harder than in Munich, his dominance remained clear. Post-Montreal, Ivan began preparing for the 1980 Moscow Olympics. He continued to win major tournaments and even secured a place on the Olympic roster. But in a surprising move, Yarygin withdrew and recommended that younger wrestler Ilya Mate represent the USSR instead. "People used to fear me," Yarygin said. "Now I find myself cautious of Mate. He may not look imposing, but on the mat he's like a steel spring with brilliant technique." Mate went on to win gold at the 1980 Games, validating Yarygin's decision. After the Olympics, Ivan officially retired from competition. Not long after, he was appointed head coach of the Soviet national freestyle wrestling team. For 12 years, Ivan Yarygin led the national team with passion and dedication. During his tenure, the Soviet and later Russian wrestlers achieved unmatched international success. Nearly every champion under his guidance credited Yarygin for their development and victories. In October 1997, Ivan and his wife were vacationing in Kislovodsk. Afterward, he traveled to Makhachkala for a memorial tournament honoring his friend, 5-time world champion Ali Aliyev. On the way back, tragedy struck. The car he was in collided with a parked truck after the driver fell asleep at the wheel. Ivan suffered critical head injuries and was hospitalized. Sadly, he never regained consciousness and passed away in intensive care. He was just 48 years old. Yarygin left behind many dreams and plans. He had a deep affection for the city of Krasnoyarsk, which became like a second home to him. He contributed significantly to its athletic development, and his legacy lives on through the prestigious Ivan Yarygin Grand Prix, an international freestyle wrestling tournament that continues to attract elite athletes from around the globe. The protagonist of today's video, legendary Soviet-Russian freestyle wrestler Arsen Fadzaev, a double Olympic champion, is regarded by many experts as the finest practitioner the sport has ever seen. His blister-fast reactions, relentless offensive pressure, and extraordinarily rich technical arsenal let him dismantle the world's best in mere seconds on the grandest stages. Several moves were soon linked to his name. The shin grip turnover, for instance, came to be celebrated as Fadzaev's whirlwind. The fact that he surrendered 0 points across 3 consecutive world championships illustrates Fadzaev's overwhelming dominance. Had the Soviet Union not boycotted the Los Angeles Games of 1984, he would almost certainly have collected a 3rd Olympic title, for at that moment he stood unrivaled. Arsen first stepped onto a wrestling mat at the age of 14 and instantly displayed precocious talent. As a teenager, he stunned onlookers with resourceful, lightning-quick, technically polished attacks. From his youth onward, he competed in the 48, 52, 57, 62, and 68 kilogram classes. Each move up in weight brought sharper skills and an ever-growing haul of victories, at home and abroad. He strolled to gold at the Spartakiad of Soviet schoolchildren, swept national junior events, and dazzled at European and world junior tournaments. Anyone who witnessed even one of his bouts knew a true champion was in the making. And so it proved. From 1983 through 1988, he remained unbeaten and conceded not a single point. The calendar year 1983 shone brightest. Fadzaev won every bout he contested, domestic and international. In Leningrad that year, during a USSR-USA duel, he thrashed the powerful American Reign by 11-0. "12 months later, the Soviet boycott left him watching the Los Angeles Olympics from afar. Countless athletes, including Arsen, whose dream was Olympic gold, missed their rightful podium places. Given his form, few doubted he would have triumphed in freestyle. Earlier, in Kiev in 1983, he had already captured the world title, needing altogether no more than 11 minutes of mat time. Denied the 1984 Games, he entered the unofficial Druzhba 84 festival and romped through the field even faster than in Kiev, pinning Bulgaria's Kamen Penev in just 59 seconds of the final. Within 2 years, he had amazed the sport, and in 1985, FILA awarded him the inaugural Golden WrestleMania prize as the world's top freestyle wrestler, though his greatest feats still lay ahead. His first Olympic crown arrived in Seoul in 1988. The historic run in which he yielded no points finally ended, yet he remained unbeaten. In the final, he blanked Korea's Park Jang-sun 6-0 to seize gold. Victories become a habit, Fadzaev later admitted. By the Kiev Worlds, I felt immense superiority and feared no one. That confidence, he joked, never quite extended to the World Championship of 1989. A loss in the 1989 World Cup final, his first in years, was dubbed a national heartbreak. He and his coaches dropped him back to a lighter class, where he resumed overwhelming every challenger. Fadzaev captured the World Championships of 1990 and 1991. Then capped the quadrennial cycle with Olympic gold in Barcelona. The win lacked Seoul's fireworks, but was no less precious. After Barcelona, he vowed to chase a third Olympic title at Atlanta. Yet Wrestling Federation President Ivan Yarygin invited the two-time Olympic king to head coach the Russian squad. For 3 days I agonized. How could I abandon my dream of a third gold? Arsen recalled. In the end, he accepted and took charge of the national team. Even so, the dream refused to die. He rebuilt the squad, whose freestyle contingent secured 3 golds in Atlanta. But early in 1996, he set coaching aside to train again as an athlete. Failing to make the Russian roster, he joined the Uzbek team. Fate was cruel. His own protege, Russian star Vadim Bogiev, defeated him, dashing the quest for a 3rd Olympic crown. Retiring from competition, Fadzaev founded the Aleni Wrestling Club in Vladikavkaz. Nurturing future luminaries such as triple Olympic champion Artur Taymazov, Olympic winner Kajimurat Gatsalov, double world champion and double Olympic medalist Basik Kudukov, double world champion Ibrahim Aldatov, world champion Irbek Farniev, and many others. A strategist and innovator at heart, Fadzaev transformed combat into artistry. His bouts fused raw power with unquenchable drive and a painter's flair, proving that wrestling can be equal parts struggle and sublime performance.